So this is our week one of the Huge Sack podcast. We're going to be talking about every game of the previous week, discussing our thoughts and our point of view on each team and each game. So this week we had our season openers, and I don't know. What did you think about the week of football, Luke?
It kind of just not really too many upsets. A lot of teams kind of seem like they're getting into it. Was actually pretty surprised that there was a whole lot more passing. I think you've said that it takes a little while to get the running backs involved, but I was really surprised with some of just how poorly a lot of the running backs did.
Yeah. From what I was seeing, is most of the stats of the running backs, they were averaging somewhere around 5 yards per carry. And that's a good running back. If you're getting 100 yards in the game as a running back, I saw you were averaging 5 yards a carry. Um,
Hmm.
and something I also noticed is that a lot of the quarterbacks that were throwing the balls, not all of them, there was a lot of good quarterbacks that were hitting their receivers in stride, but um, I noticed that a lot of the quarterbacks were missing passes. We'll talk about it later when we get to the Philadelphia, or not the Philadelphia, the Pittsburgh Buffalo game. The quarterbacks, especially especially Ben in the first half, just wasn't hitting his receivers. He looked terrible, and it was kind of a shock when you have a veteran quarterback like that. You expect him to hit passes like that, like he's been playing. How long has he been playing? I don't even know. Anyway,
He's somewhere around early 2000, I'd say.
yeah. So I guess what we'll do is we will hop in to the Dallas Tampa Bay game. This is our Thursday night game this week. I didn't personally watch it. I have watched a bunch of highlights on it. I was busy doing other stuff. You sat down and watched it, right, Luke?
I watched towards the end of it.
Okay. Um, well, what are your initial thoughts on it before we kind of dive into stats and the actual gameplay of it?
Uh, Tom Brady needs to retire and give other people a chance to do
I
great things.
I will agree with you on that. But I will say I did not expect Dallas to play them that close.
I agree with that, and I will say this is probably one of the best opening night games for at least the past few years.
Yep.
Usually it's just a blowout or a shutout, and this one was
Yep.
kind of a firefight
Hmm.
back and forth.
Definitely fun to watch, and actually, you got a lot of good games. Um, you got a lot of good games from this week. Three, two or three went into overtime. Um, which yeah, I mean, you don't expect that week one. A lot of times you expect your teams to. It's a lot of blowouts all the time. Generally, half the teams, or over half even, are unprepared. They're just not ready. Um, and then you have your teams like Kansas City and Tampa Bay, and it looks like Dallas came to play week one, and Dallas generally, the as of late, has not been a team that in the beginning of a season came to play. I know they lost, but I was very impressed with how they played. You're playing against reigning Super Bowl champs with Tom Brady, Gronkowski. I mean, your defense didn't play good. Neither defense played good in this game. It was a somewhat high scoring game, and uh, it came down to which offense was gonna close it out. So, um, I guess we'll watch through the highlights real quick, and then we'll kind of dabble into stats after that. I'm going to change the playback speed to 1.25.
The same role that basically James White played all of those years for Brady in New England.
So,
Out of the pocket, taking off the spot and the
this is what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Your quarterbacks aren't hitting in stride.
Granted, I'm looking at the time that was within the first minute and a half or so of the game, but yeah, Tom Brady is a veteran. That is a throw that he definitely should have hit.
Yeah, and if you're known as the GOAT, you gotta. I mean that includes consistency, in my opinion. You need consistency to have that title. That's why I personally, like, if we're gonna get into other sports here, I think that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, and it's because he was consistent. He rarely had a game that he was like ruining opportunities or missing opportunities. He took every chance he got and he executed properly. So if you're gonna give a GOAT status to a quarterback like that, and don't get me wrong, Tom Brady is very good, but he needs to hit passes like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but that kind of looked like a 3 and out to me.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was.
Great punt. Special teams this week all around the NFL played very good.
I agree.
Great start. Great start.
Good throw by Dak.
Yeah. And this is something that I'm gonna probably come back to later, but it does look like a lot of these teams played very good in the first half, or the first, tale of two halves, man. Because a lot of these teams are starting off winning and then they just choke it in the second half, and so I don't know if that comes down to experience or what.
Yep, I did definitely notice in this game that Gronk and Brady reconnected a little bit.
Yep, 100%. Well, yeah. What did he give Gronk, 2 touchdowns or just the one?
I believe it was 2.
But
and that's going to be enough for a first down to the 6-yard line.
So it's sort of interesting. They've almost come up with 2 different defenses.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a clinical drive. That's exactly how the first one should have went. I don't understand why they. I mean, but this is what you get with Tom Brady. He adjusts incredibly fast, very smart. I feel like that's.
It's basically like having a head coach on the field. I don't know if it's going to show it in these clips, but there was times that he was getting the play called in and he looked at the sidelines and shook his head no.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like he called his own play.
Yep.
And, I mean, granted, with his experience, he probably does have that right to do.
Yep, and that's something you talk about with all these young quarterbacks coming into the league. It's like they are very talented, but they just have no brains for the. Yeah, they can't call plays in the sense that your Aaron Rodgers, your Ben Roethlisberger, your Tom Brady's, your Drew Brees, they could have went in and won championships without coaching.
Basically.
So, yeah, no, I agree with you.
That was a great touch on the throw that Dak just had.
Yep, absolutely. And that's something I did notice in this game, just from the highlights that I looked up. Dak played really good. I thought Dak played very, very, very good. So, I mean, I can't complain about how they played. They lost the game. I get that. Yeah.
Had to deal with noise in a long time, and that will be stopped at the line of scrimmage. That's Ndamukong Suh.
And see how I brought up the running backs?
Yep.
I believe that was the first running play we even saw, and it was for no gain.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it seemed like this week for a very good chunk of running backs.
Yep. I'm gonna skip forward a little bit here. It seemed like this game was pretty back and forth in my eyes. They were both driving down the field efficiently and playing. The thing is that, and here's the play. Picked off right at the end of the half. Okay, so 16-21, Tampa Bay at a half. You can't really. I mean, there's not too much to say about it. This is basic football. This is your typical football. Throwing a lot, I agree. There are a couple. There's one or two teams that I want to discuss that did not throw the ball, like at all. But yeah, the typical football so far. Kind of what you expect. Dallas. Well, not really. I didn't expect Dallas to play as good as they did. So I'll go ahead and say that. I expected. If I would have guessed the score at the half, I would have guessed maybe 21-10, maybe 21-7, something like that. So I got to give them credit for playing that good. They did play pretty good in the first
I agree.
half.
And like you said, this was a Super Bowl winning Tampa Bay Buccaneers that kept the high scoring Kansas City Chiefs to what, like 3 points in the Super Bowl?
Yeah. I mean,
So
to turn,
either the defense is lagging pretty bad or the Cowboys actually did come to play this year.
yeah, and that's one of the notes I had. Is I said Dallas isn't fucking around this year, and I have a note right next to that one that says Tom Brady ain't fucking around this year. I mean, that's how Tom Brady always has been, but those are the only two notes that I have on this game. It just seems like they both had efficient offense and potential lacking defense, or else, I mean, their offense was just better, good. So, yeah, I don't know. It seems like Dallas might be a contender for playoffs this year. After this game, like I said, I know they lost, but you're playing, and we'll keep saying it. You're playing Super Bowl champs, and it's Tom Brady. What do you expect?
Something I'm noticing, I don't know if we missed it or not, but both offensive lines for these teams are doing pretty well. I do not think I've seen a sack in these clips yet. Both Dak and Brady were protected pretty well.
Well, you have the stats pulled up for this game, right?
I do.
Do you want to go to the stats, like bar at the top, and it'll tell you how many sacks they had?
The Cowboys allowed 1 sack and the Buccaneers allowed 0.
Yeah. I mean, their lines. That play would have been another touchdown. So I guess you can count them lucky. Maybe there's some luck going into Dallas playing them this close, but I mean, there's luck all the time with football. So not too much more to say about this. I think what we can get from this is that Dallas played a shit ton better than I expected them to, and you agreed. And then Tom Brady is typical Tom Brady. He's gonna win games.
The thing is, the last play before the field goal, I do believe that there was offensive pass interference that was not called. Yep. I'm not saying it just because I hate Tom Brady and whatever team he's on, but Chris Godwin definitely extended his arms and the defender stumbled back. Yep. And it very much looked like offensive pass interference that was not called.
I'll give you that. And that's another thing with the refs. I know that the refs just recently added some like rules about taunting and whatnot. I feel like the refs have way too much to focus on right now. It just seems like they are overwhelmed with the amount of things that they have to watch. And from what I know, is they didn't increase staff per game. So I would assume that they were worried about a million other things at the same time. I agree with you. Yeah. There was some questionable calls this week. And also that could come with it being week 1. They're all getting kind of back in the rhythm of things, but yeah, stuff like that cannot happen. I have no clue if Dallas had any challenge flags left or whatnot.
It was under 2 minutes, so they couldn't even challenge. And it's just recently, within the past year or two, they brought in that the booth could review offensive pass. They could review pass interference, and
But you have to call it.
I don't know why they didn't. I don't know why
You
they
have to
couldn't
call stuff like
review
that.
that one.
That's just a lack of execution from the refs. I will agree with you. This game could have went either way. Could have went either way. But that's how football is, you know. So that's the takeaways. Tampa Bay and Dallas played close, and didn't expect it from Dallas. Expected it from Tampa Bay. They got the win. I think we can move on to the next one.
Yes, sir.
So our next game is Seattle and Indianapolis. So they have a new Carson Wentz on their team, who did not execute. I'm wearing my Seattle hat. Shout out my fiance. Seattle played very, very good. They played how you expect them to play. They didn't miss a fucking step. So we can hop into the Seattle game real quick. Their highlights. Let me find it. So this one ended 28-16 Seattle.
Smirnoff Pink Lemonade. We
Yep.
mix the flavor of lemons and fresh berries with
I don't know.
ultra-smooth
I don't know.
Smirnoff vodka. It's the pink.
Carson Wentz. What do you think about Carson Wentz?
I mean, he went to NDSU,
Yeah, we gotta love it.
really good football school, but not in the sense of like Alabama and Florida State,
No,
good football schools.
I mean, I know he has his Super Bowl ring or whatever, and he brought him to playoffs, and I mean that was his good team. That was his team in Philly, but after that season, it was just never the same, dude. Nothing has been going his way. And what do you expect from an NDSU quarterback? We're both. I mean, you went to NDSU, and I'm from North Dakota. We both know that Carson Wentz was running the ball 50% of the time at any. I mean, he's a scrambling quarterback in college, and
He was, and I mean, the thing was, he got hurt either his last or second to last year in college. He got hurt his first and second year in the NFL now, and it's
yeah. Well,
he's kind of one of those injury magnets. It seems like, in
well,
my
it's
opinion.
just like any scrambling quarterback. You always sit there and you question. You go, okay, well, what kind of longevity do these quarterbacks have? Because we've seen so many quarterbacks come through the NFL, scrambling quarterbacks, great, in their first couple seasons. I mean, think about Cam Newton. He's not even playing right now. He was a scrambling quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, Cam Newton, I think, did have some other issues just because he could scramble, but I don't remember anything necessarily great about his passing, so that might have something to do with it. Because, like, Lamar Jackson for sure is scrambling, but he can make amazing throws. Patrick Mahomes scrambles and can make amazing throws.
Russell Wilson.
And I mean, some of these quarterbacks are evolving. Like Aaron Rodgers used to scramble quite a bit,
He's turning into a pocket quarterback.
but he is turning into one of the old guys and is sitting in the pocket and kind of taking the hit more instead of running the 5-10 yards for the first down.
Yeah, and it's tough to know exactly how they're gonna end up after their first. They could have amazing first, second, third seasons, but you don't know. You can have high hopes. I have high hopes with Patrick Mahomes,
Mhm.
But it's just something that we don't know. It happens. I mean, uh, who was it? Vic, or no?
Mike Vick.
Yeah, he was a scrambling quarterback, right?
I think maybe Lamar just broke his record the other year, but I think he did hold the most rushing yards by a quarterback in a season for at least a while.
Yeah, and it's like, what happened to him? He was out in what? How many seasons? Couple? I mean, not like
He
out,
had
but like
he had some off the field issues, I
obviously,
believe.
obviously, but he played. I mean, there were seasons that he was just not it, and you could tell it was done. So I guess Carson Wentz to me seems like that could be kind of his. I would hope he's not doing some stuff off the field, but it's
Well, something with Vic at least though. I guess this was when we were a bit younger,
yeah,
10 plus years ago, when he was doing pretty well. I don't necessarily remember him getting hurt a
that's
whole
true.
lot.
That's true.
Whereas Carson Wentz and some of these other young guys are getting hurt. So
Right,
I don't know if,
and maybe with Carson Wentz that comes from coming out of not your typical NCAA colleges. If you would go to Alabama, I bet you they teach those quarterbacks how to slide and how to because you know just as well as I do that Carson Wentz died or when he was in college he was diving head first.
well, he could.
It,
All the big boys went to those lot bigger schools.
right. So and that's just like topic that I would I don't know how long Carson Wentz is going to be in the NFL. We have a lot of Colts fans in North Dakota now for some reason, and I don't know. So I guess here let's start going through our highlights here.
Wentz looking up third down. He fires.
And
Second down
it's
and
like he
4.
can throw
Pass
the
to
ball.
Wilson.
It's just that
The handoff to Taylor. He's across midfield.
it doesn't
It's not
seem
it's not that he can't throw it. And he can't it's not that he can't be accurate.
right.
There he decided he
Head
just dove
first,
head first and fumbled.
head first and fumbled. What are you gonna do? You gotta teach him someday. I thought he was figuring it out in Philadelphia, but apparently not. I mean, you gotta.
And see, I guess I'm a little curious on that rule. When quarterbacks slide,
They're giving
they
themselves up.
immediately give themselves up. But what about if they dive?
They
The
don't.
slide and a dive are different.
You're
Because when
a
that ball
dive. You're
popped
turning
out,
into a
he
runner.
was giving himself up as a quarterback, but
He
he
wasn't.
wasn't touched yet. So
No,
was that a fumble
yes,
or
it
I
was.
don't know.
You need to. Your head needs to be like behind your butt.
Well, and there's Russell Wilson. There's a good example of a slide.
Yeah, he knows how to. These are two scrambling quarterbacks, and Russell Wilson knows how to be a scrambling quarterback. I think that this is something that Carson Wentz wants to be, but he doesn't know how to do it properly. He knows how to do it at NDSU, and this is
Correct.
just Russell Wilson being a better leader in game. Easy
That was
drive down the field.
that was a great adjustment by Lockett, though. That's not an easy catch to make.
Well, I know, and
Going,
Lockett is
going from one shoulder to the other shoulder, right over your head.
Yep. I noticed in this game, I would have liked to see a lot more DK Metcalf. You got Young Gun, who is literally turning into a face of your team, and I think he was targeted. What 3? How many times was he targeted, Luke?
Let me take a look here.
Let's go back to Lockett, dude. Lockett had 2 touchdowns this game. He's not the youngest person, you know.
No, and see, I guess I I can't see how many times Metcalf was targeted, but he did have 4 receptions for 60 yards and 1 touchdown.
Okay.
So
I know he was getting
he was
targeted,
like,
but you got. I guess I don't know. And I'm not gonna sit here and coach. That was a great drive by Indianapolis, well put together. So I mean, at least they got something going for them. Here's a sack. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like you could utilize DK, but here we go. Yep. This might be the best play of this weekend. I do not recall any other plays that were that good.
you watch any of the Kansas City game?
I did.
You did or didn't?
I
You
did.
broke
I
up
did.
on
I saw a run it was a 75-yard run, right? Or was it a short pass?
Tyreek had a 75-yard pass and
Oh,
catch.
Yep. Okay. That is a great play, but I'm going to reverse and we're going to rewatch this, okay?
Final minute of this second quarter.
The amount of time he had, the perfect in-stride throw, okay? And, I mean, it just looked good. He didn't have to change his pace or anything like that. It was just so clean. That is a clean play.
Right on the money for sure.
Yeah. So obviously Wilson and Lockett aren't.
They're pretty well in sync right now,
I mean,
which is pretty impressive for game 1, where I assume those two did not play any preseason.
Right. Something else. Okay. So something else that I want to talk about is that one thing I noticed in this game was that Indianapolis was driving the ball somewhat good, but they were having to settle. They were having to settle for field goals, and like they would make plays to get them down to the red zone, and then they would end up having to kick a field goal, or they would lose the ball. It just seemed like a common thing in this game for it. They have to convert on their drives. Their defense played pretty poorly. They went for 4 fourth downs. Granted, they were behind, so I know that their last drive they're going for 4th down. But they went for 3 fourth downs. They went for 3 fourth down plays on this game and didn't convert on any of them.
Not a good percentage game 1.
No, not at all. They need to fix that stuff. They got put into 3rd down situations 13 times and only converted on 5. That number has to be above 50%. It has to. Or else, I mean, especially if you're going to get put into 3rd down, what do you got? How many drives do you got in a game? Like
20, maybe.
20 drives?
Maybe.
Between both teams, right? Somewhere around there. Each team gets 10 drives, whatever. Okay, and I think that's high. If each team gets 10 drives. Okay? So if you're getting put into 3rd down situations 2 times per drive, which would be 20, and you can't convert on 10 of them, I don't know. You have to convert on your 3rd downs, and if you're going to go for it on 4th down, you have to convert. You have to convert. And I think, I don't know. It just seemed like they were playing poorly.
I don't know. Until it gets late game when everybody starts passing, it seems like the NFL standard is to run on 1st down, and not typically, not always, but
what happens
they
on the
get
1st down.
very few yards. And then they have long 2nd downs, which turn into long 3rd downs.
Yep.
You need to put yourself into manageable 3rd downs so you get that conversion.
Absolutely. And here's an example of them not converting, okay? They're down on the other side of the field. They're in field goal range already, and they fumble the ball. You can't do that if you want to win, especially against a team like Seattle. Seattle's so consistent, so down. They have their fundamentals down. Everything's clean with them. You can't do stuff like that. You can't fumble the ball, and you have to convert when you have an opportunity to. It's simple. That's a very simple thing. So, I guess I don't know. This is kind of my thoughts towards it. Indianapolis didn't play terrible, but they did not play good. And Seattle played very good. That's my opinion on it. What do the stats kind of look like for you, Luke? I can pull them up too here.
Carson Wentz doesn't look. His stats in general don't look horrible. 250 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Running backs, like I said, didn't.
5 yards, dude. Your best running back is Carson Wentz. When it comes to average yards per carry, he averaged almost 6, and then your actual running back, you give 17 touches to. That's literally 25 touches, dude. 25 touches for the entire team. There's later on in the season, you're gonna see 30s, 40s, and I don't know. You're averaging under 5. That's rough. You can't do that. You got to run the ball so you can throw the ball. Now, granted, I don't know a whole lot of these receivers. There's some good receivers. They're averaging what? I mean, their receiving group isn't the most spectacular.
Well, their second top receiver is their one of their running backs.
Yep.
That Naheem Hines is more on the passing downs. I think I remember that. He's more of the pass catching running back.
Yep.
Which is all right, but
yeah,
kind of got to work on
your actual running. Now let's go to Seattle. Tyler Lockett, dude, he played out of his mind. He's averaging 25. He was targeted he caught 4 passes, and he has 100 yards. That's nuts.
Yep.
I mean, he played very good. DK Metcalf, I would like to see a little more production out of him, but he did play good. I guess from there we can go and look at the actual team stats. Seattle only got put in third down situations 9 times, and they converted on about half of them.
Yep.
You have a little more room to work if you bring down the amount of actual third downs you're put in. So I'm okay with them being under 0.5%. 4 out of 9, that's okay. No 4th downs that they went for. Now this is something that shocked me. Indianapolis had the ball for almost over 10 minutes longer than Seattle. And
I agree. And usually when that happens, it means you're controlling the game. So they can try and put together. Well, what it is they tried to put together long drives and then kind of got screwed.
Yeah, they didn't convert.
With just poor plays.
Yep.
Where all it takes for Seattle is a little drive and then nice pass, nice run, and you're in the end zone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's so many stats on the Indianapolis side that looked good. 71 total plays compared to 53 on Seattle. Your penalties. Seattle had 53 yards lost in penalties, 16 on Indianapolis. They weren't committing any penalties, so that's a good thing. Both teams had a fumble loss. It just seemed odd to me that the score was as different as it is after I looked at these specific stats, because first downs, Indianapolis had more. 5 more. It just, you know what I mean? It just seemed a little distorted. I understand if you go and look at your total yards and your total passing yards and all that stuff. Seattle's kicking the shit out of Indianapolis, but it still seemed like Indianapolis just couldn't they weren't on the same page, and this is going to be common throughout the entire week of football here. A lot of teams are just not on the right page. So, yep, Seattle wins 28-16. I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to say on it?
No, not really. Nothing
Okay.
overly special, I thought, with that game.
We'll try and kick up the speed of this a little bit. Let's dive into what is it? This is preseason. It's the Jaguars and the Texans. I will be honest with you, I did not expect the Texans to come out this strong. The Jags obviously have their first-year quarterback. They didn't play good last year. And I don't know, did you watch any highlights from this game?
I have not seen
Okay, so
pretty much anything from this one.
Trevor Lawrence was good. He threw the ball 51 times.
Trying to force a rookie to throw it that much shows that you don't have any confidence in your running backs.
I agree. They had a total of 16 carries. Total. They had a total of 16 carries.
The entire team didn't even break 100 rushing yards for the Jaguars.
Yep. That's tough. The fact that they scored 3 times is actually outstanding to me. I guess he's young, Trevor Lawrence. He made good throws, but he also made a lot of bad throws. He threw 3 interceptions and 3 touchdowns. I don't know what to really say about this game other than the Texans played a very, very good. I think this Taylor is young too, isn't he?
Tyrod Taylor? No.
Oh, never mind. Thinking of the wrong Taylor.
He's been backups. I think his first team was actually the Buffalo Bills. He was a starter on the Bills for a while, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's when the Bills weren't necessarily doing so hot. But
now we can go and look at Houston's team, and you can tell what they're kind of trying to do. They have a lot of just the rushing alone. They have a lot of potential with their rushing. Mark Ingram,
Philip Lindsay and Duke Johnson.
Philip Lindsay was absolutely, when he played for Denver, was absolutely Denver's best player. You will not change my mind on that. He was. And the fact that they got rid of him. Now, don't get me wrong. Denver played very good this week. But you have David Johnson. I mean, your runners are good. You have a good running back group.
Hopefully it kind of does not turn into a power struggle type thing for him on I should be in the game. No, I should be in the game. Because with those 3, I feel like it almost could be because they have all been starting running backs and now they're in a 3-man rotation.
Yep. And I agree with you. When you look at the stats, you can just tell the rushing yards 160 to 76. I mean, your total rushing yards should be above 100. Even if it's the beginning of the season, you should be above 100. It should be like a 300 to 100. You should have 400 yards in the game. Okay. Anyway, so I guess that's just. They need to run the ball more. Jacksonville needs to grow up a little bit, mature. And Houston has excellent players to play with. I know that Philip Lindsay was catching passes in Denver. And, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Houston came out and kind of surprised me. But also not really because Jacksonville I didn't expect to be good. But all that being said, Jacksonville has a brand new quarterback, and Houston gets the win. I don't really know what else to say about this. It just seems kind of, you got to work on not throwing interceptions. Trevor Lawrence can't throw interceptions like he did there. And I mean, your time of possession, 24 or 25 minutes Jacksonville and 35 minutes Houston. That makes sense if you're throwing 3 interceptions in a game.
Yep.
I get that. So, I mean, it comes down to, in my eyes, these interceptions. Otherwise, this game could have been very close.
The interceptions, and I'm seeing 10 penalties for 82 yards, especially with the rookie quarterback. You want to do everything you can to help him out.
Yep.
All those penalties are not helping.
No, not at all. And, yeah, I agree with you. 5 for 50 is not good either from Houston's side. Plays were pretty, like, total plays was pretty equal. Jacksonville went for a 4th down one time and converted. Houston didn't have to.
3 for 11 on 3rd downs, though. I'm saying
That's what I'm saying. That's his inconsistency as quarterback. You need to get more comfortable in your role.
Not even a third of the time.
Cool. So Houston comes out with a win, 37-21 over Jacksonville. Not much to say. Kind of went how I expected it to. Maybe not as high scoring, but just seemed like Trevor Lawrence wasn't ready, and I think he will be. But
He's got potential.
Yeah, you could see it. A couple plays you saw it, and you were like, oh, okay, yep, this guy's good. Nothing like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes came out and just started shredding, but like, yeah. So I think we're done with that one, and we can go on to Philadelphia, Atlanta. This one was kind of fun to watch for me.
See, I did not get to see this one, but this is one that did surprise me.
Okay. I'll tell you why you're surprised, because you're looking at the fucking score. Okay? And it's 32-6. It does not look like that when you watch the game. Okay? It looks like that, but maybe not. The Falcons did not play good. I will be honest with you. But they showed a lot of potential in certain areas. Matt Ryan only threw for 150 yards, basically. But they have one thing that I liked about this team for the Falcons. Cordero Patterson, okay, is getting utilized like he was in New England when he played with Tom Brady. In the sense that they are running the ball with him and passing to him. And I think that he is still a very talented player. As a Vikings fan, I know how fun he is to watch. And I know how scary he is to watch because he does fumble. He does make stupid decisions, whatever. But he to me, looked like they're like diamond in the rough here. Was Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, I did. This is one where I was able to watch some of the highlights, and seeing that where he lined up as a running back, it was like, huh, I thought he was a receiver.
Yep.
But then he was both.
Yeah. No,
So,
and
good for him.
I think he's still a good player. I think that he deserves a spot where he's at. I just think you don't really have a lot of tools around you. Ridley played good, but other than that, I didn't really notice too much past that. Your defense didn't play good at all. On the other side, Jalen Hurts did play pretty good.
The stats show pretty good. Like you were saying with that Russell Wilson to Tyler Lockett throw, though, there were a decent amount of throws I saw in that highlight reel where the receivers, I don't know if it was necessarily the planned play, but it was like behind the receivers, or they had to come back towards them. So I don't know if that's an arm strength issue for him or inaccuracy,
Yeah.
and his receivers just made him look good.
Right.
But
Yep. Well, you do have really good receivers on the Philadelphia side. There are good receivers here. So maybe you can kind of get away with that, but it ain't gonna last long. Your secondaries did not look good throughout the NFL this week. So I guess that's kind of my opinion on this whole thing. Jalen Hurts came out and he played very good for a season opener, is what I'll say. Maybe he wasn't ready either too much or fully prepared, but he was prepared. You could tell he was ready. He just wasn't fully prepared. Maybe. I think.
is he a rookie or has he been in the league for a year or so?
He's been in the league for a year now. He was playing under Carson Wentz, and then they took Carson out and put him in at the end of the season last season, and he played good last season at the end.
Gotcha.
Of the season. But yeah, I mean, this is more of that less running, more passing. 35 passing attempts, and there was only 25 rushing. So, I mean, you're going to see a lot of that. I don't have too much past that to say. All I have in my notes is that Philadelphia played good, and Atlanta should have scored more. Seemed like they were making plays enough to do so, but they didn't. Cordero Patterson is still good and is getting used how he should be. And I don't know, maybe he'll work on his control of the ball a little bit better, or maybe he has been, and he doesn't fumble as much. But I think he's very explosive to the. Yeah, I think that's what it is. He's explosive, and you got to use that a little more if you're not going to use your other players at all. So. Anything else to say on this?
No, not about that one. Little surprising for me, like I said. Matt Ryan is a veteran, but not one I necessarily watched, so not a lot of tools around him at the moment, it seems.
Yeah. Yep, and that's kind of what that's why Cordero Patterson looks so good to me. Just because he is kind of their only tool to use. But I mean, even if you go through the stats, all their running backs are under 5. I mean, Keith Smith has a 6.5 average rushing yards, but he ran twice for 13 yards. So, I mean, you can't really count that. But yeah, so I think we can head on to the next one. Philadelphia won that 32-6 against Atlanta. Chargers and Washington. This one kind of surprised me. Because I didn't expect Washington to score 16 points.
I agree with that.
Um,
I don't know if I've ever seen the Washington football team do well.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. And granted, Chargers is Justin Herbert. He's a pretty young quarterback, but it's just.
Yeah, I mean, and
I don't know.
you can see it again with the amount of rushing that they're doing. The Chargers didn't have a player that rushed. They had one player. Justin Jackson ran one time for 5 yards, but everybody else was averaging under 5 yards. Keenan Allen played how Keenan Allen plays. You expect that. I mean, he's gonna play like that. So nothing much to say for the Chargers on this game, but Washington played terrible. You throw the ball. Literally, you threw the ball 21 times total. And then you rushed 27 times. I mean, you just don't have enough plays or anything. Nothing was working for them. They looked terrible. I can't say too much. I don't know how they scored, if I'm being honest.
I'm looking at it and I see that Ryan Fitzpatrick was in for
Yep.
at least 6 plays. Is that because uh, Taylor Heineke got hurt, or did Ryan Fitzpatrick start and then Taylor Heineke came in?
I can't even tell you. I'm not even sure. I didn't actually watch this game. That's why I think I'm a little shocked that Washington scored. Maybe I am reading into this the wrong way, but to me it seemed like that Taylor Heineke, is he young?
I've never heard of his name before. I would assume he's a rookie.
I think he might be in
Not
his
quite a rookie.
second year. Undrafted to the Minnesota Vikings in 2015. Why do the Vikings do stuff like that? Anyway, not too much past that to say. Like I said, I didn't really watch this one, but I don't know. You got anything to say about it? If we go look at the stats, you can kind of tell everything was pushed towards
Washington did have
better
pretty good rushing.
and that's another thing that maybe that's why the Chargers didn't blow them out. You can't rush as a team under 100 yards. You can't.
You gotta make it work.
Yeah.
The yards per play were actually almost dead even.
Yeah. I will
So,
say
I
the
mean,
Chargers almost 100 yards in penalties. Yikes.
off of only 6 in C2, so you know that those are defensive penalties more than
Defensive pass
offensive,
interference. Yeah. So
and that's what's keeping Washington in the game.
it must be they didn't have the ball that 24 minutes. Washington. Yeah, they didn't have the ball
Yeah.
that long, so I guess they with what they got did okay. I don't know. It kind of surprised me. All comes down to Chargers got the win, 21-16 over Washington football team, and nothing much else to say about that. Chargers need to get their rushing over 100 yards, and Washington just needs to be better. That's what I'm seeing.
I agree.
So, I think that's kind of it. We're going to wrap that one up real quick. Pittsburgh and Buffalo. This one's going to be kind of fun for me. Pittsburgh and Buffalo. So, did you watch any of this game?
I did not get to see any of this one.
Okay, so I'm just going to swing over to the stats. Buffalo should have won this game.
That's what I'm seeing in the stats.
They should have won this game.
Buffalo outperformed in total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, and yards per play.
Yep.
And the Steelers were able to win.
There's a couple things that catch my eye when we look at these stats. Is the 81 yards and penalties on Buffalo's side, fumble loss,
Mm-hmm.
and 1 out of 3 on 4th down. That is what I'm seeing. Now let me just back this up a little bit. This is the game that I'm talking about. Okay. Buffalo had a great start. They drove all the way down the field first drive, and they had to settle. So, to me, your first drive against a Pittsburgh team that struggled last year, couldn't get shit together. Am I correct in saying that, or did they make playoffs? They didn't make playoffs, right?
I don't think so.
So, you have to drive down the field and you have to score a touchdown. You made AFC Championship last year, didn't you? Buffalo
The Bills, I believe so, yeah.
Yep, and they barely lost to Kansas City.
Yep, and the thing was, like, predictions-wise, the Steelers' defense was only predicted to earn about 5, maybe, fantasy points.
Yep.
And they actually ended up earning about 14, which is actually pretty good points for defense.
Yeah.
And they put together a lot of stops. I believe I think I saw it through my fantasy app, but and I guess I don't see it right here, but I think the Steelers actually blocked a punt and returned it for a touchdown.
Yep, they sure
And
did.
that
Yep, absolutely. And that's another thing. So I think that might be where that fumble is. Does that count as
I
a
don't know if that
fumble? I don't know.
I don't know if that was a fumble. I'm
Um,
looking through their defense and it doesn't show.
and riding on what you just said, Buffalo got put in a third down situation 18 times.
Yeah.
Which means that you're out. I mean, you're holding them on their first two, and I don't know their defense. So Pittsburgh defense just played really, really, really good. Now let's talk about their first half offense. Okay, Ben Roethlisberger missed so many passes. He should have just. I mean, the score could have been a blowout in Pittsburgh's direction if Ben hit his target like he usually does. I mean, he missed so many passes, and then also if you go over to the Buffalo side, you can't. Josh Allen missed a bunch of passes too.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look good. Stephon Diggs only had 70 yards. You were literally the best wide receiver last year, and you're hitting 70 yards. I don't know. Just maybe he wasn't getting open or whatnot, but yeah, that's kind of what I have. The first half was awful to watch. It was boring. Continue.
The thing is, it's with Big Ben. He has been in the league a long time. A lot of people, myself included, I thought that last year was going to be his last year.
Yep.
I thought he would be done.
Yep.
I am surprised he's in the league still. His stats are not good. The entire rushing, receiving for the Steelers not very good.
Yep.
It was the Steelers defense that won that game.
Yep. 100%. And that's what I have in my notes is both offenses looked terrible throughout the game. Throughout. First half especially, but throughout. It was not a good offensive showing. Very, very strong defensive showing on Pittsburgh's side, and just not enough from Buffalo. And as a team that got to the AFC Championship game last year, you got to perform better than that against a team that didn't even make playoffs. I understand things change in the offseason and stuff, but you're sitting with Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen. Your running back is performing better than most running backs in the league right now anyway. Devin Singletary.
Mm-hmm.
He's performing better. He's averaging 7 yards a rush. So, I mean, how do you lose this? I just don't see that. Both teams didn't look ready. They didn't look ready. Except for the Pittsburgh defense. That's it. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you got anything else to say on that?
No, I agree with what you're saying.
Sweet. So Pittsburgh Steelers win 23-16 over the Buffalo Bills. Fun game to watch because it was kind of pathetic to watch. But who am I to say, right? 49ers and the Lions. I did not watch any videos on this, didn't look up anything. The only thing I noticed about this was that San Francisco scored 24 in the second half. Or, sorry, the second quarter. 24 in the second quarter.
Yep.
Both defenses must have played awful. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they scored those touchdowns or scored that many points in that quarter, but Detroit needs to get their shit together. I will say Detroit's offense played really good. in the fourth quarter. It looks like they played really good in the fourth quarter. But yeah, no, and your average yards per play as the 49er, it's 8 for the 49ers. They're averaging 8 yards per play. You're literally 2 yards off from getting a first down every play.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the stats right now. They fumbled the ball twice and lost it, and then Detroit picked it off one time. Detroit is getting put in a lot more third down situations, a lot more fourth down situations. And this is your typical Detroit Lions team. I don't think changing quarterbacks is going to benefit you at all. I don't think you're going to...
The Lions are kind of the new Browns.
Yeah.
I mean, I get they've
been
been
bad,
basically the same as the Browns, but the Browns have finally started to pick it up.
Yep. So yeah, I don't really have too much to say about this game. Past that, I don't know. What do you think? Same kind of.
Poor defense.
That's about it. Yeah, that's kind of all I would see from it too. So I think we can get on to the next one. 49ers win 41-33. Bad defense between both teams. 49ers put up 24 in the second quarter. Lions couldn't make the comeback happen. So I think they did get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to bring it within 8 with like 2 minutes left or something like that. So now we get to go.
Well, I guess one last thing for that 49ers game. I do see that Trey Lance, another NDSU quarterback, made one throw, and it was a 5-yard touchdown.
Heck yeah, dude. 1 for 1. I saw it as well. Good for him. Yeah, that's about all we can say with that team. Now I can really dive in here on this one, and I'm sure you can too.
Yeah, the Vikings are pretty bad overall. I don't know if they should even be in the league. I think they should get basically thrown down to the minor leagues.
Yeah, football. They should just move up to Canada and shred all the Canadian football teams. Anyway, so what we see this game, it seemed like the first quarter was bland. Nothing really happened in the first quarter. 0-0 literally in the first quarter. Minnesota scored first on a very nice drive. And then Cincinnati... Oh, no.
Phil, I apologize. Can you just pause for a second?
Yep.
Is it raining where you're at?
No. Is it raining where you're at?
No, but it kind of sounds like it is. And
my fridge is on.
I'm getting confused.
My fridge is on in my background. Here, is this louder now? Is it louder?
Yeah, you're speaking louder.
I'm going to keep it down here, though. I'd like to be done with this by around 6:30 or 7, okay?
Okay, yeah, sorry. I was hearing something, and I was like, my house fucking breaking or something.
You're good. Okay, so yeah, first quarter, kind of boring. Second quarter was a little better. Vikings scored first. They got a touchdown, and then I'm not even sure who scored their touchdown for them, but then the Bengals scored 20.
I think it was Adam Thielen.
Oh, yep, Adam Thielen got the first one, yep. And then the Bengals scored 21 unanswered. Now, granted, the second touchdown that they threw, that was a big play. I felt like that shouldn't have happened. Your defense, you got Mike Zimmer. You have a lot of defensive pieces. I understand that there's a lot of defensive pieces missing right now, but you can't let plays like that happen. So anyway, then fourth quarter comes around. Vikings have to make a comeback, and they do. Okay, so I saw a lot out of that. They played perfect to get to overtime. Okay, which I thought I was very pleased with how they played in the fourth quarter. Overtime, we get to this fumble, right? Now, my boss is a Bengals fan, and I texted him after the game as a Vikings fan and asked him what his thoughts were on it, and he said that they got lucky. The Bengals got lucky. And it comes down to the fact that whatever the ref called on the field, didn't matter how many people were in his way, whatever he called on the field, because the cameras could not prove otherwise, whatever he calls on the field is what's going to be, like, what stands.
Correct.
So to me, that was too close to call. I don't think it was a fumble, but I don't think it wasn't a fumble. I don't know. But whatever your ref calls there decides who wins the game. I don't think that this is I don't think that the Vikings should have lost this game to begin with, but I don't know about I just don't know about that call. It's almost like this should have been a tie. The game should have been a tie.
The thing was, I believe the Vikings still ended up scoring, but there was a run, or maybe it was a reception, where the Vikings player was down basically right on the goal line. Mike Zimmer even challenged it.
It was Justin Jefferson.
And, well, the thing was, the commentators are basically bragging. They have such great camera technology, and they are able to look at that fumble from so many different angles, but they couldn't have a fucking end zone, like the goal line camera that game.
Yeah, to me, Justin
that's
Jefferson
bullshit.
It looked like he was into me. Looked like he was across the line.
When it's like, oh, we didn't have enough money for a goal line cam. The fuck you didn't. You're the NFL.
Yeah.
You have enough money to do whatever the fuck you want.
Yep, I agree. Now, if we can back up a second, the Vikings, 67 yards rushing. That can't happen. Their passing was good. And, I mean, it's just, you got to run better. Both teams had even amounts of time with the ball. Literally a 20-second or 18-second difference. Vikings had 12 penalties for 112 yards.
116.
Oh, yep, 116. My bad.
That, I turned this game on. This is the game I was able to see right at noon. And after the kickoff, the first play was a false start.
Yep.
And I was like, that,
yep.
Great way to start the year, fellas.
Yep. Now I will say, fourth down efficiency was good between both teams. Third down efficiency for Cincinnati was terrible. But the
Vikings could up it too.
Yep. Basically what I gathered from this game is that both of these teams are not that great. And I think that they are similar when it comes to how good they are in the league. And I think that's what you saw with overtime and how back and forth overtime was even. So neither of these teams are top 20 to me.
I can agree with that.
But I think that they have potential to be. There's a lot of injuries on the Vikings side, and Cincinnati played a lot better than I thought they were going to. So that's kind of all I have to say on that. Justin Jefferson starting to feel a little bit more like Laquan Treadwell was. not fantastic showing from him this game. Thielen did Thielen stuff. Still didn't play that great, and that might have just been because they're trying to divide stuff up. But Thielen almost had 100 yards. What are you going to do? He's averaging over 10.
2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Thielen's doing Thielen stuff. Dalvin Cook needs to play better. He ran the ball 20. He's averaging 3 yards a carry. That's not okay. Dalvin Cook, if you want to be the best fucking running back in the league, you have to average over 5 at least. So, I don't know. That's kind of all I have to say on that game. Like I said, as a Vikings fan, I was frustrated with the call, but also understand why they couldn't overturn it. So, fuck that ref who called it a fumble. Anything else on that?
No.
Okay.
Both of those teams not great.
Right. So Cincinnati wins that 27-24 over the Minnesota Vikings. Now we can get into the Jets and Panthers. Just kidding. Wrong game.
No, that's the one that I got as being next.
Oh yeah, Jets and Panthers. To me, I watched highlights on it. McCaffrey played really good. Literally has leading receiver and leading rusher. He's gonna play like that. That's how he is. He is the face of your team as a Carolina Panther. He is it.
Well, and it's good to see him back. He was hurt basically all of last year.
Right. Jets didn't look great, but they didn't look awful, I guess.
Just from a stats perspective, it is a little interesting to see how close the game actually was, because the Panthers did dominate all the stats.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't even crack 210 for passing, and you didn't get over 50 for rushing as the Jets. So, I mean, your Jets are your typical Jets. To me, the Jets are more like the Browns than the Lions. They're not good. They're gonna be like that for a while. They've been rebuilding for how many years? Since Brett Favre.
Yeah, even Brett Favre didn't do great for him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they were trying to rebuild with Brett Favre, and it didn't work. Like, so before that, terrible. They're bad.
Ever since the Sanchez butt fumble, which I believe he was on the Jets when that happened.
Yeah. So, to me, this looks like this game looked like a McCaffrey highlight. I don't even know. It's literally the only person playing football was McCaffrey. Like, the rest, I don't even think we need to talk too much about this game. Bad game. Jets are terrible.
Yeah.
Carolina should have shut them out. So how do you fucking give them 14 points?
Yeah.
Both teams played crappy. McCaffrey played good. Comes down to that. That's it. That's all I have to say on it. You got anything else? I know that the Jets were throwing.
No.
Actually, I will say, the Jets could have won this game. There were a lot of drop passes. Your quarterback gave it right to you in your hands, and you fucking dropped the pass. Okay? I do think that the Jets could have won this game. And this isn't saying that, like, the Carolina Panthers are bad. I'm saying that the Jets are worse, and they had some, like, gift of an opportunity to win a game against the Carolina Panthers. And they didn't execute because they dropped a million passes. There were a lot of drop passes. Zach Wilson almost threw for 50%, which is low. You should be 60 to 70, 60 to 80, 60 and up is acceptable in the NFL. I don't think anything below that is great at all. Second string status. So, that's all I have to say on that. The Carolina Panthers win this 19-14 against New York Jets, and we can go on to the next one. Arizona and Tennessee. This one kind of surprised me. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I have Arizona in the Super Bowl if I'm making my early predictions. My 2 early predictions has Arizona in the Super Bowl. So maybe I wasn't too surprised. but I was just kind of shocked that maybe at the third quarter score. The fact that that's how the third quarter was. So yeah. That's all I kind of have to say about that too.
See, just kind of scrolling through. I know Ryan Tannehill, and I know Derrick Henry.
Yep. That's your team.
Otherwise, this Tennessee team must be relatively young because I don't really recognize a whole lot of names on this list.
Absolutely. I agree with you. 100%. And if you go over to their stats, it's clear as day. Arizona just crushed them in everything. Everything. Time with the ball. Your total plays were even, but they didn't have to do 1 4th down. Converting on half of their third downs, and a lot of first downs. All right. So yeah, Arizona played good, and Tennessee did not. Not much else to talk about. Anything you noticed, or?
No, I agree with you. They just
6 sacks.
Arizona outplayed them.
Tennessee allowed 6 sacks. That's a stat that shouldn't happen. All right.
Got to work on that offensive line.
Yep. So Arizona wins that one 38-13 against the Tennessee Titans. Now we can get into the Cleveland Browns and Kansas City Chiefs. This one was so good. Oh, I loved this game. Okay, so I'm gonna just talk about it, and then you can talk about it afterwards. Gotcha. So my opinion on this. Okay, so Cleveland should have won the game. They played better in the first 3 quarters. They lost the game in the last 9 minutes of the entire game. They had control. And this just goes to show that if you give Kansas City any opportunity, like a slight bit, they're going to, like an inch. You give them an inch, they're going to take a fucking mile. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And they did that. That's exactly what happened. And I know Cleveland has been trying to get over this hump, trying to beat Kansas City, and they can't do it. But Cleveland, they're not fucking around, dude. They're a good team. And Kansas City, obviously, is a great team, too. I mean, it was just a fun game to watch all around. I love Baker Mayfield, and I love Patrick Mahomes. Cleveland scored on their first 3 possessions, which is good. I mean, they played good. So I don't know. I guess they lost the game. So Cleveland lost the game, and the reason they lost the game was because Patrick Mahomes came and threw a 75-yard touchdown, and then they got a 3-and-out, and Cleveland fumbled the punt. What? You can't fumble punts like that. You literally. Do you know what I'm talking about, Luke? Did you watch this game?
I watched parts of it. I don't necessarily remember the fumble on the punt.
When I say fumbled punt, they hiked the ball to the punter, and the punter fumbled
the
ball.
Oh, yes, I did see that. It was a missed snap. The snap was fine. The punter could not get a hold of it.
Yep.
So he wasn't going to be able to kick it, so he tried to run with it. I don't know how you could do it, but in that situation, you should almost attempt to throw it just incomplete, away from defenders, and at least get it back to where the line of scrimmage was instead of 15 yards back. They ended.
Yep. So I think that's what happened. That's what I'm saying. You give them an inch. Well, they gave them a fucking mile, but like, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. They got all the momentum swung back in their favor, and Cleveland choked in the last like couple minutes of the game. So that's kind of all I have to say on it. You have anything you want to say on it?
Kansas City Chiefs are a very good team. Browns are turning into a pretty good team now. Something I would like to see from Kansas City at some point. They've made a reputation on it, and I would kind of like them to change this reputation, is that they love to play from behind.
Yep.
And it's a lot of their wins are coming from behind, and why can't we just start it out super well? And
Yep. And you know what I could compare
what's
this to?
going on there?
You know what I can compare this to? Kansas City is similar to the Lions in that way, that they like to play from behind. It's just the Lions can't score enough points to make it back. They always make a comeback, but they can't finish it. Kansas City does. And that's why they're an elite team. That's why they are ranked 1 in the NFL right now in everybody's power rankings. So that's what I have to say. That about all you needed to say on this?
It's about it.
All
Chiefs
right.
just need to should try and pick it up earlier, and
Yep.
they should play to their own level instead of their opponent's level.
I agree. That's fair. Puts them in tough situations.
It does.
So the Chiefs win that one 33-29 over the Browns. Now we have the Dolphins and the Patriots. I have no idea anything about this game. I just know that it was close, and I'm happy the Patriots lost. Your stats
The
are...
thing is, it's the Patriots were Tom Brady. Now that Tom Brady's gone, it's not the same team.
Yep.
I know it's more than one player, but that's kind of what it feels like, is now that one player basically is gone, so is that entire team.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And something I'm looking at is that actually the Patriots look like they played a better game. It looks to me like they played a better game. They were putting third down a lot more, but that's because they had a lot more plays. They had 70 plays compared to their 52 of Miami. Miami must have just won because of turnovers. The New England Patriots lost the ball 2 times over fumbles, so I would assume that brought on some points, and you barely lose, but you're losing because of those points that you should have got. Or they shouldn't have got. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So, nothing much to say about this, too. Looks like both of these teams are kind of struggling, and they're not going to be that great this year, but we'll see. It's only week 1.
I don't know. I'm sure hardcore Dolphins fans are always saying this is the year that they repeat 17-0 since they start 1-0.
Yeah.
But
could happen. And actually, did they go 17-0 or 15-0?
17.
They did?
But that's when it was only 15 game season, I think.
That's right. Yep, that's what I meant. Okay, I think we can go on to the next one. Miami wins that one 17-16 over the New England Patriots. We can hop right into the Denver and Giants game. Broncos kind of took control with this one right away and smoked the Giants. I don't have too much to say about this other than I can talk about Teddy Bridgewater quite a bit. The stats look like they're in Denver's favor. This game is about how I imagined it to go. It looks good to me. Everything seems like nothing's really standing out to me. All I can say is that I watched Teddy Bridgewater as a Vikings fan play. And if you continue throwing 10-yard passes with Teddy Bridgewater, because literally all of his fucking passes were for like 10 yards. That's how he plays. That's how he thrives. Do not try and throw it on the field with him.
That's, some teams can make it work, and those low yardage but high percentage passes, that those quick slants, those
Yep.
quick throws, that's a great way to move the ball.
That's how he.
You
Yep.
don't need to throw the Hail Mary every single time, and some quarterbacks don't really understand that.
Yeah, and that's why I like Teddy Bridgewater. Our buddy Lance is a huge Denver fan, and when Teddy Bridgewater went to Denver, I told him he's gonna like him, and he does so far. He's a good quarterback. He just needs to start you can't throw the ball down the field too much with him. Here and there, yeah. If he's wide open, yeah. But just your 10-yard passes are where you're gonna thrive as a Bronco. Now let's get over to the Giants. Didn't look good. Saquon Barkley, 26 yards.
He's supposedly one of the best running backs in the league, and like you said, 26 yards.
Your quarterback is your only rusher that's scored, and also your leading rusher. No, that's not right, dude. They played bad. Simple.
Yes, sir.
Anything else to say on this?
I do notice, I guess I don't know the plays for sure. Maybe they were close to field goal range or something, but I do notice that the Broncos were 3 for 3 on 4th down. So that
Yep.
maybe they were 4th and 1s or something, and they're
Yep.
close to field goal and they don't want to punt. I don't know.
I think that
But
actually there was like a long play. It was like a 4th and 8 or something, and they converted on it barely. It was like a yard over, but yeah, that's an incredible stat for them to do that. Something I will say about the defense on Denver, there were a total of 2 sacks given up by New York Giants, and both of them were solo tackles from Von Miller. That just shows you, dude, he's still got it. Von Miller still has it, which is great for the Broncos.
He makes decent Old Spice commercials as well.
Absolutely. So I think that's
I
all we need to.
will say he's not quite on Terry Crews level. I like Terry Crews as the Old Spice guy a little better.
Absolutely. 100%, dude. I watch like America's Got Talent just for him sometimes. All right. I think we can get on with this one. Broncos win this 27-13 against the New York Giants. We're on to the Packers and Saints. This one you can go ahead and start talking on.
This game was fucking disgraceful. I understand that the Saints have, at least for the past few years, have had a pretty solid defense, but this was just a slap in the face to Packers fans with the Aaron Rodgers controversy crap over the summer with is he gonna play? Is he going to get traded? Is he gonna retire? And then he comes out and tries to pull this. It's just disgraceful.
Yeah.
He needs to pick it the fuck up or move out of the way so we can see Jordan Love, and maybe it's kind of a rebuilding learning year with Jordan Love, but I would rather have him potentially learn this year and start picking it up towards the end than have 2 bad seasons in a row with if Aaron Rodgers is going to continue doing shitty and then Jordan Love next year still basically as a rookie who doesn't play.
Yep. And I'll tell you here, just right here, Aaron Rodgers 15 for 28, 133 yards. Jordan Love 5 for 7, 68 yards. That was at the end of the game. I understand that. But also, you're throwing a quarter of the time that Aaron Rodgers has thrown, and you're throwing for half the yards that Aaron Rodgers threw. Over half. So, Aaron Rodgers throws 2 interceptions, too, and they were rough. They were bad interceptions. I actually don't know what the first one was, but the second one was tough.
They're both balls he shouldn't have thrown,
No, yeah,
or
he
at
played
least
bad.
definitely
Everybody was on
not
the
like
wrong.
that. And
I mean, he was. It seemed like they were all on the right page, but he was off. And this fully comes down to Aaron Rodgers just being the way he, or acting the way he did this offseason. He acted in a way that shouldn't.
he's being a diva. He wore a man bun in one of those pregame interviews, and he just looked like a total douchebag.
Yep.
He needs to cut his hair, figure that shit out.
Yeah, stop looking like a rebel, dude. Stop trying to be a rebel. Everybody knows you're a good quarterback, so start being a good quarterback. And he says he has love for the fan base and he has love for the team and the franchise and everything. No, he doesn't, dude. He wouldn't have fucking
No.
put the team through that if he cared. He was like open for offers. He said he didn't want to play for the Packers. Come on. Just stop.
I agree with you.
Now,
And
let's talk.
some Packers fans just absolutely wanted him back, but as soon as that stuff happened, I just had flashbacks of Brett Favre, and I was like, "Fuck him, let him go."
Yep. And let's back up a second here. 1 for 10 on third down. Ouch.
Yep.
Now let's back up another second here. 43 rushing yards total with the Packers. The Green Bay did not look good. They have I'm hoping this is another relaxed
Thing is,
season.
with the Packers, it's every now and then they have a few decent rushing games, but they have not had a consistent rusher for more than one season back to back in a long time. I want to say maybe like Amon Green back in 2004 and 5.
Yeah, you had high hopes with Eddie Lacy, but that didn't happen.
Nope. And that's the thing. Packers can somehow make rookie running backs pretty good, but then the sophomore year kind of goes down the shitter.
Yep.
So like poor rushing and poor defense is unfortunately something you can always expect from the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not going to do well in those aspects, then Aaron Rodgers cannot do what he did on Sunday.
I agree. So we can get to the Saints here. They barely threw the ball. Nothing special from their quarterbacks. Seemed like a lot of their weight was on their running backs. I mean, it was just a blowout. There was nothing to it. The Packers played terrible, and New Orleans is one of those teams that'll take advantage of that, just like the Chiefs.
Yep.
So,
and Jameis Winston, he had a couple long throws, but he's kind of a Teddy Bridgewater like quarterback, like you were just talking about. It's high percentage, typically low yardage throws just to keep moving the chains. And
now I will say he threw for 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So I mean his stats are sky high right now, but he didn't play spectacular. He only had 150 yards.
I agree, and I mean that's okay. You don't need to throw 400 yards like Dak and Tom Brady did.
Yep.
But he was doing what was necessary, and that's all you got to do. If it's a 5-yard touchdown pass, you get the same amount of points as if it's an 80-yard touchdown pass.
Yep, I agree. You got anything else to say on that?
Packers better pick it up. I'm not gonna necessarily change fan bases, but they basically just shit on their fan base with that game.
Yep. I will agree with you. So, New Orleans wins that 38-3 against the Green Bay Packers. So we can head to the Chicago Bears and Los Angeles Rams. So I got a couple points on this one. Chicago's secondary looked really bad. They were allowing a lot of open, like they were allowing a lot of receivers to get open easily. It seemed to me. Everything was just kind of available for them. And I know Andy Dalton didn't Matt Stafford didn't have actually fucking Matt Stafford had a hell of a game. 20 for 26, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's what I'm saying. Their secondary did terrible. Chicago's secondary was awful. Low penalties throughout the game. There was only 7, 3 and 4 between the two teams. So that's fun to watch. You don't have to deal with fucking refs the whole time.
Yep.
And then, the Chicago's time with the ball was so much more than the Rams, and they still lost. You got to control the time better. You got to be a better team, and that's Chicago.
Well, they need to convert.
Yeah.
That's kind of what some of these other teams are doing. They've got the ball, they're controlling time, but then they get down there and shit happens.
Nothing. You turn the ball over, or you have to kick a field goal, or whatever, So, I don't really have much more to say about that. Do you have anything else?
I will say it's nice to see that Matt Stafford is doing well.
Yep.
He is a really good quarterback, and it's kind of nice to see that he's actually on a team that can potentially take him places. Because those Lions, they're not going anywhere for a while, it seems like.
Yep, I agree. So, the LA Rams win this one 34-14 against the Chicago Bears. Kind of expect that. Wasn't shocked by that. The Ravens and the Las Vegas Raiders. I was kind of surprised with this one. This one was a very good game, went into overtime, and the Raiders end up winning this game. I thought it was very entertaining, very back and forth, and I did enjoy it a lot. Fourth quarter was nuts, and overtime was nuts. So, all I can say is that either team could have won this game. And I did not expect the Raiders to pull it off, but they did. So I'm pleased about that. I don't like the Ravens. I like the Raiders over the Ravens. But
I guess I'm completely with you. I did not get a chance to watch this game. I don't have ESPN, but I very much assumed that the Ravens would win, and checked the final score this morning and was pretty surprised.
Derek Carr threw for 435 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Lamar Jackson, 19 of 30, 235 yards. He was the leading rusher on their team, which is expected. I just don't like it. I don't like that that's a thing. I feel
I mean, they did lose their top rusher. Was it either in preseason or a little bit before? That Gus Edwards, I think, is out for the season. So that kind of put a monkey wrench in things.
Yep.
They need to figure it out a little bit. I think they probably just signed Latavius Murray. I don't think he was on
and he
their
played good.
team a week ago.
He played good for them. Well, he didn't play good, but he made key plays that helped them stay in the game. So, not much past that. Just a very entertaining game. Didn't expect the Raiders to win, and they pulled it off in overtime. Fun to watch. Good game. That's kind of all I got on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
I hope the Raiders can kind of keep it up. I guess I don't know. It's nice to see Lamar do well, because he's one of these younger, more exciting quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
But I'm sure the Ravens will turn it around pretty well. They're definitely not one to count out.
Yep. So Raiders take this one 33-27 over the Baltimore Ravens. So I think now we can get into week 2 predictions between both of us. So I have the list of games pulled up here. First one's going to be Giants and Washington. What are you guessing? Let's just do wins and losses. I think that the Giants pull this off. Yeah, I'm gonna go Giants.
I'm gonna go with Washington actually on that one.
Okay, NYG, and you're Washington. All right, Raiders and Steelers. I think Raiders win this.
I'm gonna go Steelers.
Okay. 49ers, Eagles. I'm going to go with 49ers.
I am gonna go with the 49ers as well. Just some of the throws that that Jalen Hurts was throwing, I don't know if that's gonna necessarily
Questionable,
work
yep.
against the 49ers.
It's questionable. Texans, Browns. I'm going Browns all day, baby.
Yes, sir. I'm with you.
Okay. Broncos, Jags, Broncos.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You can go ahead and step in whenever. I have to write these down. Saints, Panthers, Saints.
Yep. Still with you. I
Rams,
think the
Colts.
Saints defense is gonna bottle up Christian McCaffrey a little more than he would like.
Yep. Rams, Colts. I'm going with Rams.
I'm also going with the Rams.
Okay. Bills, Dolphins. I'm going to go with the Bills.
I am too. I think the Dolphins are kind of a young team, and I don't think they will be able to handle the Bills.
Patriots, Jets. I'm gonna go with New England on this one, just because I don't think the Jets are gonna be good at all this season.
I'm gonna give the Jets a shot this time.
You think Jets win this?
I'm gonna give them a shot.
Okay.
I think so.
Bengals, Bears. I'm going with the Bengals.
It's kind of a tough one.
That's a toss-up.
I'm gonna go with Bears. Andy Dalton is not a bad quarterback.
I agree with you. Falcons, Bucks. I'm gonna go with Bucks.
Freaking Tom Brady.
You're gonna go with the Bucks too?
Yeah.
Vikings, Cardinals. Cardinals.
I'm going with the Cards.
I have to say Minnesota though. Just because I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. Titans, Seahawks. This one's Seattle all day.
Yes, sir.
Cowboys, Chargers. This one's.
I'm gonna go Cowboys.
I think I am too. Dallas. Chiefs, Ravens, Chiefs. I think the Ravens are struggling.
I'm gonna go with Chiefs as well. Hopefully, it's a good game, but
Should be.
it could turn into a shootout. But we'll see.
No, this one might surprise you a little bit. I'm going with the Lions.
I'm gonna go with the Packers. I don't know. I don't actually remember the last time the Lions beat the Packers. It was probably more recent than I'm thinking, but it's been a while.
Yep. And I'm not counting Green Bay out this season, but I just don't think that they bounce back as fast as 1 week. So.
Well, they better. Otherwise, I'll be angry. Hiya!
All right. So those are our predictions. And that was the Huge Sack podcast. This is week 1. And we will be back for week 2 next week. Oofda. None of my fucking... This didn't work. We did bad. You can't see my fucking face. The entire podcast was you, Jesse Center. Okay, we'll have it fixed for next week. Okay.
You are not posting just me centered.
I'll make it look good. All right, thank you for watching, everybody. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch, NuggetHole24. Subscribe to me on YouTube, NuggetHole24, and we will see you next week. Thank you for watching/listening. Love you. Bye.